The San Francisco 49ers are set to face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers Week 1. And while these are two historic teams with a similar makeup, a young quarterback, and a stifling defense, what's really truly going to determine this game is the strength of the 53-man roster. And in the previous video, I went over a couple of players under the radar guys that may make an impact for the 49ers this year. But I think I only just scratched the surface with maybe some under radar guys that made the team. In this video, I want to cover an offense and defensive player as well. Starting out with the offensive side of the ball, specifically the tight end Braden Willis. But before we talk about Braden Willis and the tight end position, we need to talk about Brock Purdy. More specifically, Brock Purdy's injury in the NFC Championship game. On this play, Tyler Kroft was tasked with blocking Hassan Reddick. It didn't work, and while you can blame it on either the play or the player, the Niners did decide to pick up two really effective blocking tight ends. One in Cameron Latu, who was placed on IR, and Braden Willis, who's just shown out this entire training camp and continue to show out, I think, in game scenarios. For instance, throughout the team portions of practices, Braden Willis has been a highlight. He catches everything seemingly that comes his way, as well as being an effective blocker both in the pass and run game. Willis also offers versatility on the special team side of the ball, where his aggressive nature really comes into play, and he even made the tackle against the Raiders. But who is Braden Willis, and can he actually make an impact on the Niners, not just this year, but for years to come? To examine this a little bit deeper, we're going to see Braden Willis's athletic profile, then his mental makeup, approach to the game, and finally his play style and fit within Kyle Shanahan's scheme. Beginning with number 1, Braden Willis as an athlete. He comes in at 6'3.5", weighing 240 pounds. He didn't run his 40-yard dash at the combine, but he did put up the bench press 20 times, which was more than Cameron Latu, the Niners' third-round pick. Willis, when you watch his college film though, I think is a pretty good athlete. He played like a tight end and H-back role throughout his days in college, meaning you would see him on motions and then he would shift back into the backfield almost as a fullback, blocking players, and this is exactly what you'll see him do in Kyle Shanahan's scheme. You see George Kittle line up as a running back sometimes, and really this is the versatility Kyle Shanahan is always eyeing for his offensive weapons. An aspect of a player's game that's probably a little bit more important than their athletic profile is their mental makeup and approach to the game. And this is where I think Braden Willis, especially with this chip on his shoulder, has many tight ends beat. One thing that actually is good for Braden Willis, I think, is being picked with pick 30 in round 7. After this, Braden Willis vowed to make every other team pay. While I've heard this saying many times, when Braden Willis said it, I really felt like he meant it. And this is where I dived more deeply into who he was as a player. And I learned he even broke the jugs machine for Oklahoma, according to the Titans coach there, catching over 10,000 balls from it. This work ethic from college seems to have carried over to the pros, where Braden Willis looks in fantastic shape, as well as picking up Kyle Shanahan's playbook relatively quickly. Speaking about how well Braden Willis has picked up Kyle Shanahan's offensive scheme leads me to my final point, and that's Braden Willis's fit in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Yes, Kyle Shanahan wants a rookie tight end or a second tight end in general to catch passes thrown his way. But I think this injury to Brock Purdy made him realize something important. He needs his second tight end to be able to hold up on blocks at least long enough for Brock Purdy to step up in the pocket. So during this draft, he picked up two really good blocking tight ends in Cameron Latu and Braden Willis. I think Willis is maybe even the better blocking tight end of the two, despite maybe being a little bit smaller. He's extremely strong, has solid technique, and is good at both as a pass blocker and run blocker. Tie that with his solid hands that he's worked on, highlighted by those 10,000 balls he caught from the jug machine. I think Braden Willis is a perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense. So when we tie in this offensive fit and special teams versatility Braden Willis offers, it becomes obvious why he made the roster. But my question then becomes, who do you guys think will be the Niners' number 2 tight end this year? Will it be Braden Willis, Ross Dwelley, or Charlie Warner? If I was to bet, I would say it would probably be Ross Dwelley or Charlie Warner to start, but Braden Willis can easily replace those guys, and I think in the long term, he will. For me, I think the selection of Braden Willis is exactly what the Niners are talking about with their scouts and coaches talking together. It's clear the scouts saw Braden Willis as a great blocker as well as a versatile player, something that Kyle Shanahan probably indicated he's looking for, and therefore they are able to get an absolute steal with the potential to be a tight end 2 in the 7th round. Another absolute steal the Niners were able to get this way is Kalia Davis, a defensive tackle they drafted last year with the vision of being a DJ Jones. Much like Braden Willis, I think there are a few things that really stood out about Kalia Davis and his fit with the Niners. First, his athletic profile. Second, the coaching that Kalia Davis will receive under Chris Kaserik and the potential for growth there is amazing. Finally, the third thing that I think Kalia Davis really fits the Niners for is a replacement of that DJ Jones role I was talking about earlier. So let's begin with his athletic profile. To examine Davis's athletic profile, usually I will throw out some NFL Combine numbers, but Davis wasn't able to actually perform in the Combine, and this was a big reason why he slid. He tore his ACL during the second half of his senior season. This resulted in the Niners being able to pick him up in the 6th round. But before this, Davis in high school was a linebacker, and a good one at that, even receiving scholarship offers. This athleticism he had as a middle linebacker really carried over as a defensive lineman because you see him being extremely bendy and athletic on the film. He also has an insane first step, something that Chris Kaserik constantly mentions. Speaking about Chris Kaserik, this brings me to my second point on why I think Kalia Davis can be an under-radar guy. He has an extremely first step, but he did need refinement both as a pass rusher and as a run stuffer coming out of college. Well, now he's had a little bit of time last year and this entire offseason to work on these things with the best coach across the entire league in Chris Kaserik. And what Kaserik really wants out of Kalia Davis is to utilize that linebacker athleticism on the defensive line. And the early results are pretty impressive in training camp. He's beating blockers and he even beat out guys like T.Y. McGill for the team. Finally, a huge part of why I think Kalia Davis can be successful on the Niners is we have a template of a guy that did it before with a similar makeup. DJ Jones was absolutely paid by the Broncos, but before that, he was a run stuffer as well as getting to the quarterback for the Niners. And this is where I think that Kalia Davis can make his money. He has a great first step and can get in the backfield and stuff the run, much like DJ Jones. While Kalia Davis most likely won't be part of the Niners starting defensive unit, he should see plenty of opportunities because of the Niners' heavy reliance on the defensive line rotation. When Davis does receive his opportunities, I do think, like Braden Willis, he'll wreak havoc on opposing teams. Despite both of these guys being later round draft picks, I think one thing has become obvious. The Niners know what they want at each position and can locate it regardless of where they are in the draft. I mean, when you take guys like Ronnie Bell or even George Kittle, this becomes evident. So seemingly with the Niners doing it once again with Braden Willis and Kalia Davis on their 53-man roster, I now want to turn a question over to you guys. Who are the players that really you think will be under radar stars this year coming out of nowhere on the Niners roster, much like a Brock Purdy type or even a Jordan Mason from last year? Do you guys think maybe it's TDP or even Ronnie Bell? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. It would also mean a ton to me if you liked and subscribed. And as always, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.